That is after the project evaluation technique, that is using the net present value, the internal rate of return. Then the next thing that you're supposed to discuss is the scenario analysis in project evaluation. And that is what we are going to start here, and we are going to run this. But in the book, in the previous book, I had included about the profits. So we need to a little bit go through, although we'll come to discuss later about the estimation of price, revenue, and profit margin. Or it was my suggestion that maybe you do it as a specific, a topic on its own. I don't think, yeah, we can do it as a topic on its own about the revenue and profit margin. So that is, you'll be able to cover the entire of it. So it was part of the previous book. Maybe let's do it in our next lesson. So, yeah, so I think that will be better. So let's concentrate much on the scenario analysis. You know, in Excel, I hope maybe you have your worksheet you have opened your worksheet. Just open your Excel program in your computer. And in this Excel program, once you enter in the data, we use the data tab above there, the data tab above here. And in this data tab, there is one feature in Excel under the data tools called the what if analysis. It comprises of the three functions, that is the scenario manager, the goal seek, and data tables. So in this lesson, first, we are going to check on scenario manager, and we are going to see how you can use Excel actually to predict, because what if simply is a prediction analysis. That is, if you consider what you already have from the previous exercise, you're talking of investment. That is, you want to check the best company to invest in. First, you need to check the net present value before you know which projects to invest into. So, and here, sometimes when you are investing, you'll find maybe certain things like expenditures are so many. And because of that, the profit margin goes down. And because of this reason, then we say it is important to predict or to use a scenario manager so that you help you to know with the prevailing conditions, what if we do a specific task? Maybe we reduce the expenses or we do such things. Therefore, the what if analysis, then we can say the what if analysis is an Excel tool that helps us to create different models, the scenarios, and data tables. So, and here we are going to check the three parts of the what if analysis, which includes the scenario manager, the goal seek, and the scenario manager, the goal seek, and the data table, Those are the three cases of what if analysis. That is, the three of them you help us to predict. Yes, so we will start with the first one, that is the scenario manager. And we are going to check that in a business, as a business normally heads, our business as a business manager or as a business owner, it is important to know the different scenarios of your future projects. So based on the scenarios, the business head will have to make the decision. That is, you are going to undertake one of the most important projects. You have done your little bit of study and listed all the possible expenditures from your end. Then you're able to actually frame and see that whenever you change some expenses, then what will happen in future? What do you likely to get in future? So here we have a simple piece of data of which I want you to have this data very fast. Just normally the way we do, we can have this data within 5 minutes. Just enter that data, 5 minutes. I'll not send it in WhatsApp because usually when I send, some people don't get it. Just enter that data very fast. And we are going to have this as our case study. Then we use it to run the what if analysis. So I'm giving you like 5 minutes to enter the data. And then from there we can, sorry, just a minute. And then from there, we'll do what? We'll run this what if analysis function. So as you enter in the data, I'll prepare that what if analysis booklet that will consist of that the three of them, that is the goal seek, the data tables, and scenario managers. Then after this lesson, I'll send it in your group. So you can use the examples in that book. So once you are through, you just say done. So someone is saying can't see the screen. Peter, you can't see the screen, surely. Maybe you can check from your end because the screen is okay. The screen is just fine. Just check. You can log out first, then you log in again. Log out. You log out first, then you join the meeting again. Then confirm whether it is fine now. Confirm that it is fine. And if not yet, then you can send me your AnyDesk. You open your AnyDesk, you send me your AnyDesk number in WhatsApp. Send me the AnyDesk number, then I'll help you to log into the system. That's fine. Then you can have your data very fast. So when you're using this what if analysis, then Microsoft Excel allows you to try out different values or scenarios for a formula. And once you try this, you run, and it finally produces out an output from your main data, the summary, scenario summary. whereby you check the current values and the 2 scenarios or 3 or 4 scenarios you have added in your system, and you'll be able to evaluate what is the effect of each of these scenarios. So now, believing that you are done, just have 2 more, then you proceed with our function. So as you check the data, we had particulars, we were given particulars, then you are given the expected cash inflow. Remember that in our previous discussion, we are discussing about the cash flow, where we saw when you are calculating the net present value, you take the cash flow. That is, you take the cash flow, then you subtract the invested amount. Then there was a formula that you are using there so that you'll be able to calculate the exact net present value. So now here you are told that the cash flow will include the expenses versus the income. So when you take all the expenses and income, then you add them together, then the amount we are given there, 7,500,000. That is what was actually the amount, the expected cash flow. Then after this, we are given several expenses, including the salary and bonuses, the infrastructure, the traveling cost, and the others. And the total expenses, you can use a function to do that. The function is already indicated there. How you calculate the total expenses, you just use sum. You sum above and it will give you that. Then the total profit, of course, you take the expected cash inflow minus the total expenses, you get the total profit. Then from there, you get the profit margin, the profit percentage profit. And this percentage profit, of course, you take the total profit, you divide by the amount that we call the cash inflow. It will give you the percentage profit that you'll get. So that is the first part. I have not seen anyone else who have finished. You need to finish up very fast, so that now from there we will start computing that. Remember that this test requires you to be fast too. You have to be very fast, especially in data entry, where you don't have a lot of formatting. Then you don't have to waste any time doing this, typing the data. So I'm going to open this data in my end, that is using my Excel. And from here, I'll open that worksheet. This is my worksheet here, sorry. And this worksheet that I have here, you can see, I have the particulars, you have these, the expenses down here. And to compute this, you know how you do it? Very easy. You just need to click the total expenses. Then let me zoom a little bit. Then you use the function sum. You have a simple function sum. You can insert the function, or you can type it manually. The best way, always insert the function. It makes your work easier. So you insert the function sum, and you want to sum the expenses. You just select the expenses, and it will give you the total expenses as indicated there. Then to get the total profit, the total profit, you have to use a formula. That is, you take the expected cash inflow, then you subtract the total expenses, and by doing this, you'll be able to get the total profit Now, this sort of profit will help you to get the percentage profit. That is by taking the total profit, then you divide by the expected inflow, and it will give you this one in percentage. That is 23.40%. So that is up to there. This was our data. This was our data. But after this data, you are given something else different now, that you're supposed to run something else here after this data. And we shall discuss together. I hope now you are through with the data, or there's someone still entering the data. If you have not finished, you can raise your hand, maybe see whether there is someone still struggling to enter the data. If you have not finished entering the data, please raise your hand. So I can see everyone is done. So let's proceed. The expected cash inflow, we are given there is 775 million in cell C2. We have seen that already. And it is the basis scenario in your project. Now, you need to know that the profit scenario, if some of your expenses increase or decrease, what will happen in future? That normally creates the basis of scenario manager. That is, right now, with the prevailing profits, expenses that we have, our profit margin is this. In case we want to raise our profit margin, automatically we have to reduce our expenses. And if this was the real data, that is the real life situation, then the manager or the owner of the business really want to know that the easiest way of increasing the profit margin, then you need to explain in facts that by doing a specific thing, that is including our expenses here, then you'll be able to increase our profit margin to a specific number. So, and it is only through scenario manager that you can do that. So that is, we have two scenarios in our case. One of them is probably increasing some expenses and others decreasing some expenses. So in the first scenario, you are told, in general case scenario, you have estimated the project license cost to be 10 million, but you are sure anticipating it to be 15 million. If you check our project license from our data, the project license was 1 million actually, but you are predicting or you are projecting this one to 15 million and want to see if it is 15 million, for example, then what will be our profit margin. Then another thing that you're going to check is the raw material cost to be increased by this amount, that is to be increased by 2.5. So what was the raw material? If you check raw material, you'll find it was around 850,000. If we increase this one by 2.5, if we increase that by 2.5, what did you get? You can do that simple calculation and write down the answer there. If we increase that amount, 850, increase by 2.5, increase to be, it was increased to be 2.5 million. So that means it will be 2.5 million, exactly. Then other expenses to be increased by, it is to be increased by 2.5. If it is to increase by 2.5, yeah, you can still calculate that. Just calculate that. If you increase that by 2.5, then what will you get? That is from 850,000. That was raw material. It was 850,000 thousand. We want to increase by 2.5. 2.5. Increase by 2.5. 2.5. What did you get? Then as you compute, then the next scenario was the case of other expenses to be decreased by 50,000. And by doing so, we will have already found new values that you're supposed to set in the first scenario. And in the second scenario, two values that you're supposed to find there in the two scenario cases. So, and with that, now we need to run that scenario manager. So we'll be back to our data and back to our data. And go back to our data. Then we run that scenario manager. So this is our data here. And you can click on any cell, but make sure that the cell clicked is actually not part of the cell with the data. That is, ensures that the cell that has been clicked is not part of the data. And then from there, we want to run that scenario case. So that means you have to follow a procedure of running this. So the first procedure, you click on the data menu and the what if analysis. Under the what if analysis, you select scenario manager. You select scenario manager. Of course, you get yours as 0 scenarios. Yes, so you select scenario manager. I hope you are there. Select scenario manager. So you click on data, then from what if, you select scenario manager. Then now, it is supposed to produce a dialog box. So when you click on this, then you select suppose produce a scenario manager dialog box. And in this scenario manager dialog box, you're supposed to click add because you want to add a new scenario. So you click add, and you can give this scenario a specific name. So like the first scenario, we can give it option 1, option 1. So just call it option 1, or option 2, no problem. Let's call it option 2. We already have option 1, which is the case that is prevailing right now. That with this expected cash inflow and with these expenses, our profit is this. That is our first option. The second option is now what you are setting, whereby we are going to change the scenarios. So then under the once you set the name of the scenario, then in the changing cell, this changing cell, we have this changing cell. So you click there under the changing cell. Of course, you click on the icon at your right side of the changing cell, and then you remove that cell that is already there. Remember, that is the cell that has been clicked. So you just remove that value, and we are going to set up our changing cell. The changing cell are supposed to represent changes in project license, changes in raw material cost, and changes in other expenses, of which you know they are the cells. The changes in project license, that is in cell what? You click on that cell. Changes in project license, it is in cell C10. Then we want to change again changes in raw material cost. So after C10, you put a comma. Changes in raw material cost, that is in cell C7. Then again, we have changes in other expenses, that is in cell C11. So we have those 3 cells. Then mention these cells already, we have already set them. And once you finish, you can click on that icon again to open up your work. And those are the cells that we are expecting to change. And you are changing to the values we have calculated above there. So that is, after this, we are supposed to proceed to the next step. And the next step, it should proceed so that you click OK, so that now you can input the new values that we need to set. So right now, the value of the first cell, C10, the C10 is representing what? The project license. It was 1 million. You never calculated the first scenario. And no one calculated that. No problem. But we already have those values. That this project license was supposed to go up to 15 million. Remember, we said that was a projection. The projection, it was 1 million, and we are projecting this one to move up to 15 million. So you type there 15 million. That was the first. Then cell C7, that is C7 was representing the raw material cost. Initially, it was 850,000. And after the computation, it's supposed to go up to 11, not 11 million, it is 1,100,000. 1,100,000. So you type 1,100,000. So that was a projection. Then in cell C11, and representing other expenses, and it was supposed to move to increase by 50. Was it 50? Increase by 50. 2.5. Sorry, by 2.5. So it was 500,000. And right now, once you set this, is it increasing or decreasing? Supposed to decrease. Let's confirm. It was supposed to decrease by 50,000. Supposed to decrease by 50,000. It was 500,000. If it decreases by 50,000, then you'll get what? You'll get what? Today people are so silent. You'll get what there? Yes. Let me see. Where are we typing? Hey, you must be new. In the chat. In the chat is where we type. Like your screen is frozen, Marim, we can't see anything. I don't think so. If you are saying you can't see anything, then remember that the problem is yours, because as I run this thing, I'm also using my my device to check how the class looks like. So I'll know immediately when the screen is blank. I'll know immediately when there is a problem. So just be sure that there is a problem with your device, because I'm using another device to check the class. Not only me, several people are checking the class into Look, and they are around here with me. So if you have a challenge with the screen, then automatically try to log out and log in again. When we have a problem, I will be the first one to tell you that the screen is not good. So just confirm your device. So once you run this, then you'll automatically find this. I know the edit scenario. That edit scenario screen might be too small. Of course, they have to be too small. Of course, it must be very, very small. That way, maybe some of you can see is fading out. Okay, let me check. Just a minute. Let's check whether it is really starting. Just a minute. So we are back. So now sometimes we need to make this program good, but I don't really understand when I see someone saying the screen is not good. Yet we have 3 people who are overseeing this system. Please, if you see the blank screen, remember that it is the problem with your device. Kindly just know that. Yes, because we are scrutinizing the program, not only me, but even my fellow staffs. Even some people can confirm there. If your screen is okay, just confirm for the sake of others so that we don't waste a lot of time. So we were actually checking on that. Yeah, good, that's fine. So confirm if your screen is still blank, confirm the device. So we're in this scenario, number 1, and we're actually checking that the last scenario in the first option was that the other expenses were to decrease by 50,000, and when decrease by 50,000, then it will be 450,000. Hope so. 450,000. That's fine for 50,000. So that means we are through with the first scenario. And we want to add another scenario. That will be our next step, to add another scenario. So once you click, you finish, you don't click OK, but you click the add button so that you can add the next scenario. We can call this scenario option 2, option 3, sorry, option 3. Because you already have 2, we have option 3. And option 3, the scenarios were different, were a bit different. Maybe you can overlook those scenarios again. The scenarios were like this. These were the second scenarios. And I hope You can see this. The scenarios are a bit different because the first thing we are told here is that the project costing. Just a minute, please. A minute, please. Just a minute. Just a little bit. Let me see whether there is any sharing. So someone was asking how is the license changing in the first option? So you see the license in the first scenario, we were told the projection of the license was supposed to be 15 million. We are projecting that we have right now, this was around what? It was just 1 million, the license. But now we are projecting that this will be 15 million. That is the scenario, the first scenario case, which we have just done. So we have already recorded the first scenario, that is the project license, to be projected to 15 million, the raw material to be increased by 2.5, and the other expenses to decrease by 50,000. And we have set the first scenario. Now we are recording the second scenario. And once you set the second scenario under the changing cell, that is why we do this. You click on this icon here on the right side. And once you click there, then you can delete those cells that are already there. Just delete those cells. And then from there, you record or you select the cells of the second scenario, where the second scenario was checking on the project cost to be 20 million, the labor daily wages to be 5 million, and the operating cost to be 3.5 million. That is the second scenario. What is changing in the second scenario? And that is exactly what you're going to do. So we are checking what and what? We are checking the first thing. We are checking, or we are changing. We are changing The project cost, project cost C10 is project license, not project cost. Project license, sorry. So it's a small mistake there. Project license to be, that is cell C10. Then we put a comma. The next thing that is changing, cell C8, you can see cell C8 is wages, labor, daily wages. Then again, the next one changing is C9. C9 is operating costs. Operating costs. How are they changing? We are told that the project license changes in the second scenario. We will change this one to 20 million. To 20 million. If the first one changes to 20 million, you can have that. So that is, once you set this, how do you proceed? You just click on this icon. Click on that icon. And once you click on that icon, then you click OK. It will give you the option of changing these now cells that have specific these. Yes, so we have the labor cost and the operational cost. Good. So the project license is now changing to 20 million. It's changing to 20 million as per the second scenario. Sorry, let's close this. It's changing to 20 million as per the second scenario. So that means you're going to type 20 million there in that first scenario. Just type that 20 million. 20 million. Confirm so that you type the right figure. Then the second one was changing to, you check, it was changing to 5 million and 3.5 million. So that is, this was changing to 5 million. That is 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Confirm that you put the right numbers. Don't put 500,000. Because if you make a mistake here, it will give you a wrong thing. Then the last one is changing to 3.5. So just 500,000. So those are the three scenario changes that you expect. So that means we are actually projecting with the two scenarios. Once you are through, the system is supposed to give us another worksheet that you have the scenario summary showing the current expenses, the current status of our business, then the option 2 and option 3, that is after running the two options, and the projection of the total profit, the total expenses, and the profit margin, how it is supposed to change in the two scenarios. So once you are through with this, now you can click OK. That is, just click OK there, and it will produce, it will actually show you the two scenarios that you have already set. That is, it will show you the option 2 and option 3. So I hope that one is clear. They have shown the two options. And we can actually confirm that the two options is what we did set. Then the next procedure, you're supposed now to see what are the results of the changes that you want to make. That is, when you run this scenario manager, you are expecting to see if the first scenario will affect the total profit and it will affect the profit margin. So that is it. You need to ask or the cells that you're supposed to actually change or to show the changes when these scenarios actually prevail. That means the next step is to click on summary. That is the scenario manager summary. And this scenario manager summary you're supposed actually to highlight scenario manager. Later we will discuss about the pivot table and the pivot chart that is under the big data. In the course outline, there is something we are calling the big data. And we are going to use the pivot chart and the pivot tables actually to summarize or condense a big volume of data into a simple data. So after clicking on that, then we shall proceed. So we want here the results of the cells. What are we predicting to actually change? So you'll click again on this icon and delete those numbers there. Just delete those numbers there. And we are going to set now what we are expecting to change. So what are we expecting to change here? Here we need to change the total expenses. We put comma, total profit and total profit percentage profit. So that is, you click on those cells. And of course, you can start with an equal sign, expecting to change C12, that is the total expenses, comma, expecting to change the C14, that is the total profit, and we're also expecting to change the profit percentage. That is the next cell that we need to change. Then once you are through, you can click on that icon again to bring that data back to normal. So that is, you have already selected that what you want our report actually to change. Then finally, if you are up to that level, then we need to proceed. And to proceed here, you're supposed to click to create a summary report for a new worksheet that you're supposed to generate how this scenario manager will actually work. So that means you'll click OK. Just click OK. And automatically, Excel will help you create that scenario analysis. You can see our scenario analysis. Probably yours may have more details about the person who created. But I want us to specifically concentrate on this area that we have seen here. That is what it has generated. So it actually shows us first the current values of license. You know what we had in the license. You can even copy now here to explain. These are specifically represented what? You already know what they represented. This was the project license. This C7 was what? You can check. C7 was the raw material. You can actually see the raw material. C11, what was C11? C11 was other expenses, that is C11. What was C8? C8, you can check. C8 was about the daily wages. You can see the daily wages here. And the C9 was about what? C9 was about operating cost. The operating cost. C9 was operating cost. So, and once you have already set this, that shows in the scenario manager, it will actually show you the current values. Then it shows you the first option. The first option. In the current value, this we can actually notice that this was total, the total expenses. We can even include here in our scenario manager that this was total expenses. So we can even type there total expenses. Just type in short. This was total expenses. What was this? This was the total profit. The total profit. Total profit. And this was what? It was the percentage profit. That is percentage profit. And we have that. So with this, our results, projection of our results, that in the current status of our business, this is what we got. We can actually confirm the total profit was 23%, 23.4%. But if this first scenario prevails, then our total expenses will go high, thus affecting our profit and thus affecting our profit percentage. In the third scenario, if you use the third scenario, then of course it will also give other changes. Noticing that if the two scenarios were used, then in projection you can really tell that this business is not going to do well if those two scenarios were taken into consideration. And by doing so, you'll be able to actually advise the management or even yourself to make decisions on whether to increase or to decrease your expenses. So that is the current values column represent the values of changing sales at the time scenario. Summary report was created. Then the changing for each scenario are highlighted in gray. The changing in each scenario are actually highlighted in gray. This is the what changes. We remember that we did not change everything. In the first scenario, we did not change everything. We only changed the first three. And in the second, the third scenario, we only changed the first one and the second two. So we never changed everything. So that is how this scenario manager will work in our example. So I think that one is clear. Now I want us to use the same data. I can see someone saying repeat. Repeating, we will do it now by setting our own scenario cases. So you will go back to the scenarios. And I want you to highlight these scenarios. And the scenarios I want to highlight because we are going to use a different scenario case. So using the same, the first scenario, I want you to write somewhere so that you try with the second scenario and see, then we'll see whether it will give us a different value. So in all the scenarios we had, seemed like we increased the expenses. We increased the expenses. Suppose in the first scenario, the project license were decreased. And from 1 million, it was decreased to 500,000. 500,000. Just indicate somewhere that the first scenario, project license decreased to 500,000. Then in the second one, the raw material cost also decreased. It was initially, the raw material here was 850,000. Then say this was decreased to, here we have said this decreased to 500,000. Then we decrease this one to 300,000. Then just a minute, we do a simple calculation. Other expenses, we decrease the same way it was decreased. It was decreased up by 50,000. By 50,000. We can make it even lower than that. Just make it 200,000. That is the first option. Option 2. Then option 3. Option 3 Option 3, option 2 are given those two changes. Option 3, you get other changes. And the option 3, the first thing that it was project license, of course, and we are told the project license uh, was to be 20 million. That is higher than what we actually had. We want to make this one a bit just slightly higher than the first option, so we can make it around 800,000. Then the other option was labor daily wages, and this was 350,000. So you want to reduce this one. Yeah, you want to reduce this one. We can reduce to 150,000. That is almost half of. We reduce the labor. That is, we can remove those ghost workers, and we make our labor wages to be lower. Then finally, the operating cost, just sell some machineries that are using a lot of power, and we maybe get machines that will save on cost. The general operating cost. Actually, it was around, the operating cost was around 500,000. In this scenario, we want to reduce this one to 250,000. That is far much lower than what it was done. So now I want you to run the scenario manager using those two options. Just run that scenario manager using the two options. I've already shown you what to change. Then finally, I'm giving you like 5 minutes. You run that scenario manager. Of course, you have one scenario. So meaning that you can change the scenario options. Instead of calling it option 2, let's call it case 2 and case 3, because you already have the first one. So we don't want to interfere with the first one. Let's call it case 1 and case 2. Case 1, case 2, and case 2 and case 3, sorry. Just have those two. Then run the two scenarios and send. You can send that in, just finish very fast. Then send it in WhatsApp group. I want to see that scenario in WhatsApp group. Because the first one. I can say, you know, I know you are still attempting the question, and we want to do it together. Want to do it together. But if you are finished, you can send up. I hope those people who are seeing, who had a problem with the screen are now okay now. I hope they are okay now. If, yes, can you do it again? Yes, we'll do it together. And we want to run the two scenarios again. In this case, we are lowering down our expenses. So the procedure, we say it is very easy. Just need to follow that procedure, and you run it from the data tab. Because you click data tab, then you have to go to what if analysis, then select scenario manager. Of course, you'll see the first scenarios that we already set. That is for scenario 1 and 2. You actually see them there. So you don't want to delete these two scenarios, but instead you want to create other new scenarios. Or you can also delete them. I think the best way is to delete them, because if you don't delete them, they actually affect our results, or they will be added into our results. It's showing the increase, but now you want to set for the decrease. So how to delete? You just click on each scenario and press the delete command. You click on each of them and press the delete command, and once you delete both of them, it should actually indicate that no scenario defined. Then you're supposed to choose add to create new scenarios. So the first scenario, you said we call it case. You can use the case, call it case 2. And case 2, we are going to change some things here. So you click on case, you click on the cell. You click on that cell that is in this changing cell, You can delete that E already, that is already there. Just delete that cell. And you're going to set the new change cells as we actually did in our previous exercise. That is case 1, we are actually changing what? We are changing the license. You can see the license here. Start with the raw material, the license. You can start from anywhere. You can start with the raw material, then comma. Then you select the project license, then comma. Then you select the other expenses. This is the first scenario. I hope you have done that. Actually, a very easy exercise. So once you select the 3 of them, remember that you put a comma after each one of them. Then you click OK. Now you have to define the scenario values. That is what you are changing. We actually already have them here, so that we don't have to struggle. We already have them. The values are already there on the screen. And we said that we are predicting that the raw material is supposed to change to 300,000. So you type from 850,000, we reduce to 300,000. Then we are actually predicting that the project license will actually come out. That is go down from 1 million to 500,000. Then finally, we have the other expenses that we are actually predicting that they should come down from 500,000 to 200,000. That was the first scenario. We want to add the next scenario. So you click on add button. in this scenario, you can call it case 2. Remember, you can have up to 10, 20 scenarios. You can have as many scenarios as possible. So case 3, the changing cells, you can remove them. And what are our changing cells? Our changing cells here will include first the labor daily charges. That is labor daily charges here, labor daily wages. Then you put a comma. Then the next cell is operating cost. And the operating cost was this cell, operating cost. Then comma, the last one is the project license, which was supposed to go down. All these were supposed to go down by these specific amount. Then from there, we have already set the 2 cases that you already given. You click OK. Then you change the values of the second case. The first case, that is that case. We start with the C8, representing the raw material. Let's see, C8 or what? C8. No, that is the labor wages. Decreasing from this to half of it. That is 150,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. So I'll set 150,000. Then the second case is C9, where C9 actually represented the operating cost. We said we want to reduce the operating cost into a lower value. Of course, there are so many ways you can do this. And we are reducing it to 250,000. So you type 250,000. Then finally, we have the last one, which is the project license, supposed to be reduced in to 800 instead of 1 million, 800,000. 800. Those are the 3 scenarios, the 2 scenarios we had. Then once you finish this, you click OK. It will show you the 2 scenarios that we had set already, 2 and 3, both of which they actually brought, that is, reduce the expenses. Now from there, you can click on summary. And in this summary, we are now supposed to actually select the cells we are expecting to change. And once you click on the summary, then you can put the results of those cells down here, result cells, that what you are expecting to change, you can delete what is already there. And what you are expecting to change, the first one is total expenses, put a comma. We have total profits, another comma. And finally, the percentage profit. That is what you expect to change. So, and once you're done with that, you're going to click OK. And automatically, the system will produce the scenario manager of case 2 and case 3. So let's check for the case. We have already created the scenario manager 2 with the different cases. And this is what we have got. Notice that the initial profit, percentage profit was 23.4. For the second case, we actually reduced some expenses, so our profit will rise to this. And for the third case, it will still proceed rising up. So that means the profit has really changed from this amount to this amount. Okay? So that is how you run the scenario manager. And I think now it is well understood. I think it is well understood. And before we proceed, then the assignment for this that you're going to attempt is an exercise I have sent to, these questions that we have been tackling here. I believe I sent this in group, in WhatsApp group, and you can check just a minute. I'm looking for it. There's a small booklet I send you to go through it. It had some questions from basic Excel, and it proceed down even every exercise whereby you're supposed to run a specific case. If you are able to get this book, of course, not able, everyone should have it, because every exercise is actually showing a specific function, starting from those basic functions that we did up to this function we are doing right now. Because in exercise 9, we are actually we're supposed to do the VLOOKUP, exercise 10 to do the HLOOKUP. So we'll have one lesson about this lookup and references. Then I want you to attempt exercise 11. Exercise 11. Exercise 11, 1 up to 5 is basic, and some of the function we have run already. But the 6 here we are told that 6, if you read there under 6, that using the scenario manager, you're supposed to find the best case profit and the worst case profit, then save the worksheet. You're supposed to get the best case and the worst case. Then link the result of the best case and the worst case with what the scenario manager is, or what if analysis scenario manager. So this book, I'm sending it to WhatsApp again so that you can have it and you feed that data. And then from there, we can attempt this. Once you finish this, I'll recommend that you just send it there for group. I can compare with what I have, then see whether the lesson was well understood or not. Please just go through, enter that data. It involves even the previous function we have done already. And once you are through, you can send your results in the WhatsApp group. So I'm waiting to send just a minute. If you already have it, you can proceed typing. As I send another copy in WhatsApp group. I've already sent the copy. So you can download, then move to exercise 6 and just go and try that. So that is scenario manager. Do you still have anyone with a question, or maybe with a problem? Maybe he did not understand. You can really say or comment there. You can write. If you would like to repeat it, you can also have that. But remember, you'll not keep on repeating some concept. Just want to master this concept as you proceed forward, because we are still rushing with the time. So it is important that you get this. So hoping you have got the book. Then you run that one and send the results on WhatsApp group. So today you might finish a bit earlier. So as you run that, just go through it. So I look for something else here that we need to check. Sorry. After the what if analysis, our next discussion will be about the goal seek in what if analysis. Goal seek in what if analysis. Goal seek in what if analysis. So there are some people who are asking about the videos, and for now, the videos that we have is these videos that are taken here in class. Although we are preparing other videos maybe, but compiling these videos, you need a video that you have the full content. So we are still in the process of making those videos. So in case maybe you missed a lesson, we have these videos that you are shooting in class, and the guy who does that job is actually actually hold these videos. He has them. In case you may you need to require these videos from the office. Remember that these videos you're supposed to inquire through the office, and they will send you the videos direct to your machine, because they're supposed to be uploaded in our app. So that's why some people are sending me some text. I'm not refusing to send any video, but the video is supposed to be sent from the office, and specifically actually supposed to be run under the app. And because we have not added that module in the app, so we are seeing the process of adding the module for data analytics in the app already is there, but in database not set to hold those videos yet. So working on that is a work in progress, and they will finally be there on the app. Although we will have already made other videos from the studio that will not have, the video we are taking here sometimes have some delays when students are recording the data, but we will make some videos from the studio. We are making a number of them from the studio so that they will be flowing, videos that are flowing from the beginning to the end. So finally you have them, but for these that we are covering right now, we can get them through the office. The office number, you have it. So you can get them from there. So again, we are still waiting for the pilot paper. Very soon we will get it, and we'll be able to see some, especially the practical aspect, the things you are supposed to or what you expect in your exam. So for immediately they release the paper, actually it will be the first thing to do. We are supposed to go through that paper question by question together as we do it practically, so that we see whether you'll be able to actually perform those tasks. So in the course of the week, we may create a makeup class, but I'll let you know when you have one class that is separate from the days that we have our classes. That one is subject to first arrangement. We need to make some arrangement here and there. Then I'll let you know in the course of the week. So you spare some time on that, then you can have it. So we may not be able to go through the goal-seek today, but in that makeup class, we actually go through that goal-seek, not so much. It's not involving like the scenario manager. It's a simple function. But basically, goal-seek is an Excel what-if analysis tool that normally help us to calculate the values of the input cell values with respect to the desired outcome. There we have a desired outcome already. In other words, the tool will help us to answer the question, what should be the value of the input in order to attain a given output? That is a little bit different from the scenario manager, but checks what will be the best case profit, for example, or the worst case profit, for example, when a certain input has been provided. Contrary here, it is checking what should be the value to input. What do we need to input so as to gain a specific output? That is something that the scenario manager will not actually help you do. That sometimes it is important to check with Excel that the likely input that is required, like in our case, we are checking on which expenses actually to increase or to decrease. And the goal-seek will help you actually know which expense to decrease by how much, so that to attain a specific output in the long run. So that is what goal-seek is all about, and it will help us to achieve that. So is the function still under what-if analysis? We shall learn this one in our next lesson, and we'll see how it works and how it will help us actually predict the future. The two functions are used for prediction. So our lesson, we are going to end up our lesson there. And on Monday, I'll send you the day and the time when you have that makeup lesson again. So, and I also encourage, I know sometimes we usually start the class a bit not on time. The reason because we are sharing the camera with another class, so we have to wait that class to finish up so that we can start this lesson. But all in all, even starting the class late, there are some people who are joining the class far much late. I've noted that. I actually note that one by the message that you send. You know, you can send a message that you help me know that you have joined the class late. So it's important to try to keep time. And we also try to keep time too, so that we can finish up this syllabus. So I know you are working on that, and you're going to send the results before 8:30. I'm waiting for those results. I will not send the hot e-analysis copy if you have not sent the results. So just make sure you send the results. I know some people don't do assignment, but you need to do some assignment so that you can know whether you're proceeding well. So let's end there. So have a good evening and a good night. Till Monday, I'll give you the day we'll have a makeup lesson.